Hello everybody. Welcome to the next session of amazing lessons together. We still don't have a name. It's like
amazing lessons together.
Hello
Is that like
everybody.
the title that you're giving it?
Welcome to the next session of a third meeting of ours, and we still didn't figure it out. I think it's just going to stay that way, that we will just have no name. It's going to be very fluent.
Yeah, we'll come up with something along the
I
way.
don't know how about you, but I got my coffee. You know, it's not a morning coffee for me, it's an evening coffee.
This is a morning coffee, and it is already probably the fourth, I think.
Really? Jesus, no,
today.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not such of a coffee drinker. I mean, I still try to kind of limit it. Although I think I'm being pulled on the same side as you.
I don't, I mean,
it's
I
increasing.
enjoy coffee. I don't think it's so much that I'm a coffee drinker as it's more that I'm not a morning person.
Oh, might be.
And yeah, my mind doesn't really kick in. I feel like I look sleepy in the face until noon.
I mean, I can kind of see eye to eye with you. I also think that I'm more of a night owl. Is this the phrase, right? Like a night
owl? Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm,
yeah.
Same.
But I think it's like, you know, it's one way or another. I try to not beat myself too much about it, that I don't like mornings.
Yeah, well, and it also depends on the work that I'm doing. You know, like I feel like I'm fortunate that a lot of my work is creative work, and I don't like get creative until later in the day, like after I've gotten a lot of other stuff off my plate and, you know, relaxed or whatever. Like, kind of got to be in the right mindset to be creative. I think effectively creative. That's like the right word. And I'm just not creative in the morning. I feel like, all right, it's more of a forced thing. You know, I can do stuff, but that's where the 4 cups of coffee come in.
It's always a great boost, even if it's just a placebo effect, right? It's always good to have a coffee on your side, I guess.
Exactly. So anyway,
Yeah,
looking forward to today. This is our third one.
Yeah, I mean, I will switch to another scene. Let me do that. Boom. So this is our third session, as you mentioned. As a fast or quick recap, we already covered some of the materials. Maybe for all the new people who are here watching, or maybe just found this recording or anything. We are preparing ourselves for AZ204, which is an exam for specific certification, which is called Azure Developer Associate, if I'm correct, Associate, something like that. And our tactic to prepare is to actually go through some of the learning modules and learning paths, which are pinpointed in the certification pane. Maybe I can do it real quick. Like I can pull this certification probably somewhere over here. What if I go browse? Can I go browse certifications? Intermediate. Oh, no, it's for learning paths. So I will probably go for certifications. Browse certifications. Intermediate. We want the developer. And we want it to be a certification. Is it already somewhere here? Yeah, we are doing this Azure Developer Associate certificate. And if you scroll down a little bit, you can see that there are some learning paths which are pointed out as good to go through. So we are doing exactly this. We started with the one called Create Serverless Applications. And we already went through 2 first modules.
Yep.
Right?
2. Yep. Got hands-on last time. Actually created a function, if I remember right. And
yeah.
Put the link in chat. But
idea.
jhan.dev/az-204 I think takes you to, I can't remember. Does it take you to the certifications or take you to the learn module?
Let me check real quick. Actually, I think it takes you to the learn module, but I'm not entirely sure. AZ-204.
We should check. No, it takes you to the information about the exam.
Oh, but
And
I think
from there you can, if you scroll down, then you get into the learning path. So it's kind of, it's a little of all of it, really, related to the 204 stuff. So
yeah. So if you want to follow along, just go under this link, I guess.
yeah. And so we went to create serverless applications, and we've completed 2 modules of the 10. We're ready for the next one.
Yeah, so like you said, in the first one I think we covered all of them a little bit, all of the services. So there were logic apps, Power Automate, Azure Functions, stuff like this. And in the second one, which we covered, we took a little bit of a deeper understanding into Azure Functions. But I think it was like overall idea. And today, from what I have seen, we are going to go and learn more about triggers in Azure Functions. So we are going to go into more details. I can imagine that as a prerequisite, you should maybe understand what an Azure Function is, but I think since we are very thorough with this material, you can probably figure it out from this recording as well, or from today's session. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. Mm-hmm. So I guess we can start, or is there anything happening in chat?
Nope, we're ready.
Okay, so if anything would be wrong, like audio-wise, or the music would be too loud, just please write anything and I will just switch it. It's always an improvisation. A little bit. Okay, so let's start without maybe taking too much of an intro. From this information right here, we can see that it's almost like 3 times longer from the one that we have done before. But then again, I think that this timing is not very descriptive or specific for us, because we are going through this material in a very own way. We are kind of like, doing it, maybe talking about some of this stuff, and then just, going a bit deeper.
Yeah, we definitely aren't going to stay right on with that time.
Yeah.
And I remember I did go through this one, and I remember it being, I would say it took, now we'll go longer, but it took like an hour or so, not including, I would say, like the main excuse me, I can't get my word out, the main exercise that we have to do. So
okay.
Anyway, timing wise, I think it'll be fine for what we're doing today.
Okay. I mean, let's hope so. If not, we are going to split it, but I think we can fit right in. I mean, first of all, as always, like similarly to the both before modules, we have some scenario at the beginning in the introduction. Mm-hmm. Like last time, it was elevators or escalators, or both. Actually,
it was elevators, or no, it was escalators. But then we saw they had a typo and it said elevators in there.
Yeah, actually, we didn't fix this typo, or we didn't report it. So it might.
Oh wait, maybe there'll be other things. We don't want to give them.
Okay, we will do like overall coverage of this learn path typos.
I don't want to spam them every time we come across one. I'll just send them a list. Do it in a batch.
Yeah, but then you will have like multiple pull requests, which counts into
I'll
statistics.
Do one pull request. I'll just say, here's everything I found. All one.
Okay. That's the neater way to do it.
It's definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely less disruptive that way.
So what do we have in the introduction? By the way, I can
hear.
All right,
so now we're at a hair salon.
Yeah. I can hear that something is happening with my headphones, but I'm pretty sure it's just on my end, because it tends to kind of drop the voice or the noise, like it's getting quiet and loud. But it's on my end, so I will just kind of tweak it a little bit, the end of the headphones. And hope it works. If not, then I will switch later. For now, it's okay.
Yeah, I don't notice anything on my end.
Yeah, it should be okay, because I can hear it change when I tumble with the wire. So it's definitely on my end. But okay, we got the introduction where we have a hair salon, and their problem is that they are losing money. Of course, it's everybody's problem, man. Like, nobody likes that. To fix it, they want to reach out to you as software developer. Okay, so they basically want to have less situations where their customer are missing the appointments, and in order to do that, they want to make some kind of a reminder. And well, surprise, they want to use Azure Functions for that.
It's funny. This is almost exactly like a thing that I just made recently, but I didn't use a function. I used a logic app, of course.
I mean, I think, is this the one you talked about previously? The like family call reminder or something like that, right?
Yeah, text the fam. Yeah, because we do a family call every Sunday. There's like 15 people or so that all join on a Zoom call, but they're not great with like calendar invites and things like that. And so reminding them that we're about to have our call is their top feature request, we'll just say. So yeah, I was trying to figure out a way, how can I schedule something to just text everybody in my family a reminder right before our call and give them the link to the Zoom. Anyway, it worked out nice. But I'm using Azure Communication Services to do that, and I'm not sure in this example exactly what they're going to be doing. Azure Communication Services with a logic app.
Okay, probably you could do it with functions as well. I mean, as we have learned in the first module, I believe that they even stated it, that you can probably do most of the scenarios in multiple ways. Just like you can pick any of them, just probably should figure out which one is the best in the given scenario.
Right. Well, and that's one of the beauties of all this serverless stuff, is that now we're just creating little functions that can talk to each other, and those functions can talk to logic apps, and those logic apps can talk to whatever, and all kinds of stuff. So you just like create small little things, functions that do just one thing and do it really well and efficiently. And then there's a million and one ways you can solve a problem.
Yeah. So as you were speaking, I already went through the learning objectives, and it looks like we are going to just go through the triggers of our functions. So basically, as you said, well, we have those multiple functions, and then something always has to trigger them. And I guess we are going to take a look on some specific types of triggers. And these are going to be timer trigger, HTTP trigger, and blob triggers. So yeah, we are going to probably check how you can invoke those functions. So let's get into that. By the way, if somebody is new to Azure Functions at all, you can probably find a recording from the last session where we went through the overall experience. In a nutshell, it's basically, as Jason said, is you deploy a function, a chunk of code that you want to run somewhere, and you do not care about putting it on any infrastructure, like making your own server or anything. You just deploy it, so to speak, serverless way. This is a very like fancy expression right now. And you just put this code there so it can kind of listen to the triggers, and we are going to get into those triggers. So to these actions that are actually evoking or evoking those functions. I don't know if I explained it in a neat way, but yeah. I guess this is basically what happens there. So yeah. This is what they said. So an Azure Function app doesn't work or do work until something tells it to execute. So you basically deploy this code somewhere online, but it's not going to run until you actually trigger it in a way. And this is almost one-to-one example as yours, Jason. Like you want to send out a reminder text message to the customers, right?
Yep, exactly.
What is a trigger? A trigger is an object that defines how an Azure function is invoked. I said evoked. Sorry for that. Like I'm not native in English, but I meant invoked. Execute. So for example, here are some triggers, some specific types of triggers. The one that you have used in Logic Apps, but we can see it's also available in functions, is the timer one, right? So you made it so that it triggered every like 1 week on some specific date. I don't know how often it was, but yeah. And then you have some HTTP triggers, blob triggers, queue, my favorite word with 4 silent letters following 1 letter, CosmoDB, and even hub. And then we have also a little section about bindings. And I think this is an important sentence. I don't know if you have paid attention to this one. So what they have written, like a little bit above is that one function can have only one trigger, and this is like what also differentiates it from bindings. Like one function can have multiple input and output bindings. So an input binding can influence how the function works. It doesn't invoke it, it influences it how it works because it can input some data. And there might be multiple sources of this input, unlike a trigger, which can be only one per function. So if you would like, I imagine to like, if you would like several things to trigger the same function, you would have to make few functions. Just copy the code. That's how I see it, at least, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and we will, in the next exercise, we will run a function on a schedule using a timer trigger. So let's get into the first of them. Running an Azure function on a schedule. Closing up a time trigger to invoke your function weekly. Okay, so what they say, they explain kind of what a time trigger is, which we have already done, kind of.
Have you ever made a cron job?
I have.
Yeah.
I mean, from time to time I do work with cron tab on Linux, of course.
Yep.
So yeah. It's kind of nice that it has the same syntax.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna say. Is like I don't remember where I first learned of cron tab, cron jobs, that kind of stuff. But it was same deal. It was in Linux work. I don't know, probably 10 years ago or more. But yeah, when I saw this the first time, I was like, yeah, you know, because a lot of times I get worried that I'm not necessarily a Windows specialist or Windows, operating system specialist. I'm more like definitely more comfortable in Linux and Mac.
Really?
And so anytime I see stuff that like comes from the Linux world, now part of the Windows world, that like bridges the gap for me. And I'm like, okay, I know this. Now you're literally speaking my language. So anyway, it's just fun. To me, it's fun to come across stuff like this where I can apply what felt like a specialist piece of information is now more universal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. Although, on the other hand, I was always kind of annoyed by the way, like how they ordered it. I don't know why, but it felt counterintuitive for me that the seconds are like on the first place. Like you have to put it in a second, minute, hour kind of order, not the opposite.
Think of it. This might be like a what would be the right term? Like efficiency wise, when you're at a command line, what's going to change the most often in a cron tab? It's going to be the second field or the second digits that change. All the other stuff might not. To me, that's my mind. Like why it kind of comes first is like that's the one you change. All the others you might not change as much, but I don't know. Yeah. It isn't necessarily intuitive.
It makes sense. Definitely. I just kind of wanted also to point it out by saying this, so that somebody doesn't mistake it like in an opposite way. So yeah, basically in a cron you of course kind of specify in this syntax the timestamps or the moments when a specific job is supposed to happen. And the thing which we were mentioning is like the cron tab service is basically a service that makes a very similar thing to Azure Functions. It basically runs something that you tell it on a time schedule, and basically it's
great for
Linux.
backups.
Great for backups. Yeah, we do use it for backup. For example, in the dissertation work, which I'm currently working on as well, we do use cron tab to actually do backups to blob storage. Yeah, we deploy a script with a cron tab on Linux to send some data to the blob storage.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We would have something that would kind of zip it up, the file, compress it, and then something secure copy, zip it up, SCP, file, compress it, whatever endpoint, and then database
Something
secure
that
copy,
zip it
all
up.
just in a simple
That's
script, just like that.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward
Bash
to
script.
this unit where they said that there are blob triggers, because I can already see some implementations in the work that I have just mentioned. Like we can probably
Nice.
make it somehow work that if something lands in this blob storage that we have and we have those backups there, we probably could push some notifications to, I don't know, the developer
totally.
team, right?
Absolutely.
That it
Yep.
landed
Oh, yeah.
there.
I've done that very thing. It's one of the main use cases, I would say, for that.
Yeah. Okay, well, back to our time triggers, not to spoil too much beforehand.
Yeah, let's not dilly-dally here.
So we do have the syntax. I mean, we already kind of commented it, that it's in an opposite order that it's supposed to be. Not joking, of course, but yeah, we have seconds, minutes, hours, days, months, and day of the week, and it basically works that it matches this string, and you have some wildcards or specific characters. Basically, an asterisk is that it matches any number. So, for example, here. Maybe this one is a specific example, but here the second asterisk it will match every hour. So this job will be invoked every hour, or this function maybe I should say. Then we have commas. It can separate items in a list. So for example, if instead of this asterisk we would put some specific numbers, we could specify in which hours specifically this function should run. So it can, for example, run on the 3rd and 5th a.m. let's say. 3 and 5 a.m. I don't know why I use different numbers there, but yeah, 3 and 5 a.m. Then we have specifics. We have hyphens, which specifies a range. Okay, well, this is of course like a concatenation of commas, so you can specify a range without spelling all of them after commas. And then this one is actually used here. The slash specifies an increment. So in this example, we have technically an asterisk which would match every minute, but then we have /5, which basically tells that it will take those all minutes and divide them by 5. This is my understanding. So it will just kind of take every 5th minute from this spectrum. They probably explain it down here as well.
Yeah, I want to say it's every of the hour. It's every 5 minutes, every 5 units.
Oh, can you repeat? Sorry.
So it'll be every 5 minutes. It's
Yeah.
it's every 5th unit of the hour.
Every 5th unit of the hour. So in an hour, it will happen like what? How many times?
60
12
divided by
times, right?
5, 12.
Yeah, 12 times in an hour. Okay, so well, they kind of explain it here as well. So the first field represents seconds. This field supports the values from 0 to 59. First possible value. I kind of don't understand why they said that it actually, because the field contains a 0, it selects the first possible value, which is 1 second. I mean, it's kind of like a 0th second, but maybe that's what they meant.
The 0th second.
0th second, like at the 0th second it invoked. So
It's this is the problem for sure.
but
when
technically
you start
it's
with
from
0.
it starts at 0th second to 1st second, so it's happening in the 1st second if you look at it, right? It's like
Yeah, well, because it's not 1 to 60, it's 0 to 59.
yeah. So it's the 1st second which starts at the moment 0. It's like okay, I'm
Are we confused?
overcomplicating. Yeah, I'm confusing. Okay.
This is where I will get this wrong on the test for sure.
Second field represents minutes. Yeah, this one is more complicated. Asterisk means select every value within the field. So there is 0 to 55. 59. The second special character is the slash, which represents an increment. Yeah, so we have every 5th value. That's what we basically said. And then the remaining 4 fields are asterisks. So we take every hour, every day, every month, and every weekday. Right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, how to create a timer trigger. You can create a time tracking Azure portal, so that's what we are going to do. We are probably going to navigate to the portal soon, as we did last week. Enter the logic, supply a timestamp, and a cron expression. Okay, let's just get down to business.
I was gonna say, I think we do it. I think we jump into the portal and.
Okay, so I have to do a quick.
We still have our. Did you keep your function app running? Oh no, wait. That you couldn't have because that was in your sandbox.
Yeah, I think it got cleaned up. Most likely. Yeah, because I was doing it on the learn subscription.
Yep.
Why does it ask me to review permissions again? I guess it's just like browser-wise permissions. So I closed it and then now I have to do it again. Okay, let's accept it. So I'm technically using the ambassador's account, but yeah, as we have said, you have this learn subscription which allows you to do it even if you don't have any specific subscriptions, which is a really nice thing, I think. Okay, verifying permissions, it will take just a second, so let's read what is here. So we are signing into Azure portal, going to homepage, creating function app, just as we did last week. And then we are actually picking different runtime stack, because last time it was JavaScript and now we are going to work with .NET Core. Version 3.1 or the latest. We will see right in a second which one will it be. Okay, region hosting tab. We will pick storage, Windows, blah blah blah. So basically we have to create a function app, just as last week, but with a different run stack. Okay. Did I get verified? Yeah, sandbox activated. So I guess I can change my directory, because this is my private one, to something like a learn subscription. I should have it. Maybe I need to refresh. Let's check real quick. No, I don't want any. Okay, I think it already changed now. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so I have the sandbox activated. I think it's even visible. Okay. So let's just go into the sandbox, make sure that I do not use any different things that we are offered in this learning module. Okay, and they wanted us to create a resource, so let's do that. And we want to create a function app. I actually got it recommended straight away, but it's probably also visible in the compute tab. I think it's loading a little bit with the resource group on my end. Oh yeah, so maybe I will start thinking about the function app name. It's always a struggle. How about learning triggers? Is it taken? It's taken, right? God damn it.
Not, yeah, too generic.
What?
Too generic.
Yeah. How about 1? Yes. Okay, learning triggers 1. This is our function app name. Very creative as always. Okay, so we are going to pick the resource group that we have created by the sandbox. Concierge subscription, or however you read it. They wanted us to pick the .NET Core, so that's what we are going to do. And hey, we even have the same version, so that means this learning path is not that deprecated, which is nice. That's a good indicator. And for the region, I will pick West Europe because I'm in Poland, so I think it's currently the closest to me. In the hosting tab, we want to create a storage account, right? Did they say anything specific? Blah 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 blah. In the hosting, create a new storage account. You can change the name.
Windows OS.
Yeah, we have Windows. We have the consumption type because we want to only use the resources when the function is like run or being triggered, not otherwise. So yeah, I guess we can just review and create. Waiting. I will just click create as fast as possible because we are going to wait for this deployment to happen. And in the meantime, we can go through some more details here. Is this deploying? Yeah. Okay. So now next thing we are going to create a timer trigger inside our function. So what we are going to do, we are going to add a specific function, because what we have done right now is we have created function app, which from last week I remember we referred to kind of as a resource group for functions, which is probably not very very correct, but it's a simplification, so to say. So it's basically like a container for our functions. So we will create specific function, and we are going to configure it to be with a timer trigger. Okay, so we are going to pick a timer trigger, and then we are going to configure this timer trigger in the integration tab. Okay, deployment is still in progress, but I feel that we are getting there slowly but surely. Okay, and they want us to actually configure this trigger from what I see in this tab here, so that it runs every 20 seconds. Kind of, yeah, beautiful arrow. All right, deployment is still in progress. Wow.
Is it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, mine, I thought mine finished, but it's not quite there.
Oh, mine finished though. I can go to resource.
I've got green check marks at the bottom, but it still says deploying.
I mean, I didn't see the check mark on my side, but I just switched the
Yeah,
the
but don't
scene.
wait for me. That's good.
Yeah, I think it's like I can go.
It'll be fine.
So I'm adding new function in the functions tab. So let's create a new function in our function app, and we want it to be a timer trigger. So we are going to pick this one. Just checking in the OBS if everything is visible and my camera is not hiding anything, but no. Okay. New functions. I like this name. It's a great name. Timer trigger one. It's beautiful.
Very
we are
creative.
not going to change it. Yeah. And hey, I'm lazy, so I'm going to copy it. I'm not even going to write it. Control V. Yeah, so we are going to probably run it every 20 seconds. So let's add this function. And they want us to test the timer. So they want us to actually navigate to this one. Oh, I think I even kind of rushed a little, because they wanted us to create the timer trigger and then go to integration and actually configure it in integration, which I have actually done while creating the function. But just to maybe show it, I believe they wanted us to go under this tab, right? And they wanted us to pick this trigger and configure it here. This is my understanding of what they wanted us to do. But I think both works fine because it's already configured here.
Yeah.
So yeah. Whoops. So I'm just going to navigate back to this function and test it.
Yeah, and there's that code and test. Yeah, exactly. Code and test option there.
Probably we will want some logs to be visible. Because what this function does, it just logs to our console some information that the trigger was executed or the function was executed. So let's just actually hit run, I imagine.
Yep.
All right. And now we probably have to pray.
Now set your clock.
Okay, so what do we have in our logs? It says here 1632 C# timer trigger function executed at 4:32:39. So we expect it to run somewhere around 4:32:59. Question mark? Yeah, it was late by 1 second. Wow. That's bad. No, it works basically. It works. It's okay.
It could be a rounding thing, but also could just
No,
be
I mean,
a cold.
Yeah,
Cold
maybe
start?
some execution time. Also, I think they kind of prepared us for that by saying in the last module that actually, because we are picking this this plan, which is, I don't remember the name, consumption, right? So serverless.
Oh yeah. The
It
consumption plan.
might cause some latency to happen because you
Yeah.
are actually releasing all of the resources and storage. Yeah, it's running all the time, so that's great. If that works, I guess we can go further. We can even click check your work, which hopefully will do okay. Oh, yes, it will,
Great
but
work.
I just want to see what's the 6th point. To disable the function in the left navbar, select overview, and then select disable. Oh, because we probably don't want it to... Is this why we are
We don't want it
disabling?
to keep running it. It'll just
Yeah.
keep running unnecessarily.
So we don't want to run it all the time because it's probably in a real life scenario it will probably cost us few cents.
Over a long course
But
of
okay,
time, it would cost
let's
a
go
few cents.
further.
But
So
it's
we
just
have disabled
unnecessary.
it just in case.
You know? Yeah, it's just...
Execute an Azure function with an HTTP request. So this is the second type of the triggers. 2 out of 3, I assume. This is of course also a very common example probably. This is what they write here, yada yada yada. What is an HTTP trigger? That executes a function. HTTP trigger have many capabilities. By the way, again, if you want to see more about the HTTP trigger, we actually have used them last week because we even played with Postman a little bit. We have run some functions through the portal, through Postman with get, post requests. So you can check the recordings probably from the last session, from the last module. And I guess this is just going to be a revision for us since we, by accident kind of, but already checked this trigger. They also want to tell us about the authorization level. Okay, so basically what's different this time, maybe just to go back a little bit, is that we can actually provide some additional parameters with this HTTP, whether it's through the URL or through the request body. You can actually provide some parameters which will then also kind of play a role of an input to this function. What is more, you can set an authorization level, which was not the case with the timer triggers. And you have 3 different options: function, anonymous, and admin. Okay, so function and admin are key based. Okay, and basically
that's probably a good thing to know for the test.
Oh yeah, sorry, I said 2 first, but function and admin, so it's first and third. The second one is anonymous. But yeah. you are definitely right.
Yeah. Feels like a quiz question.
Yeah. Okay, so whenever you have this function level as authorization, you can either use keys which are function-wise or host-wise. And by host-wise, I believe they mean like function app-wise, which means for all of the functions in your function app. So this is like the stronger key. But when you have authorization level for a function set for admin, you can only use the strongest keys, which are also like giving access to all of the other functions in the function app. This is how I understood it, at least. Okay.
Authorization level is set at the admin. You must supply a host key. Yeah.
That's right. Okay. How to create an HTTP trigger?
And we're just going to be using anonymous in this.
Oh, they also said it? Okay. Oh yeah, that's good that you pointed out. Probably useful information for later.
Well, I mean, it'll mean we don't have to do as much. You know, it'll be a little easier because we're not passing in anything for authorization. But so it's not a way you would probably do it in a production scenario, but it's how we're going to do it for the exercise here.
Probably not, unless you specify your URL for something very, very hard. Of course, kidding. Of course, it's a joke. Like you can use a password in your URL so that nobody knows your endpoint.
Yeah,
that's a joke. Don't do that. Don't do that, please. How to invoke an HTTP? We already done this last week, but you basically get function URL. Okay, receive data. I think we can just do that. I'm just going to go to exercise.
Grab the function URL.
So, as we thought, we are going to create an HTTP trigger right now. The same thing as we have done last time, but we are picking different trigger from this box. Okay, so let's go back to our function app, and I guess I can just use this function app to just add another function. So we have our timer function, timer triggered function, and now we are going to do the HTTP trigger. So I'm going to pick this first template and click add, or maybe not, right? There are templates details which we can specify right now.
That and also the authorization. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Name is beautiful, let's just leave it. And authorization level, as you said, good catch, anonymous, right? Yeah, so clicking add. Creating function successful. Okay, I do not have to refresh it though. Oh, it even took me there straight away. Nice. So let's go to code and test, just kind of as a reminder of what is actually inside this function. I think it does the very exact thing that the previous one that we have seen last week is doing, but in .NET Core instead of JavaScript right now, right? So it also, yeah, so it also expects us to pass some name. Let's see, issue a GET request to your HTTP trigger, right? So they want us to take the URL and then pass a parameter, a name parameter to it, so that actually catches the name and that we kind of understand how to actually leverage the benefits of HTTP trigger, which is providing the arguments to the URL and making therefore an impact on the function. We even did it the same way, like with the URL encoding. So this shouldn't be new. If it is, it's just as a reminder, you just add a question mark at the end of your URL, and then you can basically pass the arguments afterwards. So let's do that maybe in an example. So we want to get function URL, which we can do either in this tab that I have opened, but also in the overview. So let's copy it. We can even see that they already wrote this question mark for us. So if there are any arguments followed up, we can just write it down. So we can go name, and let's write JSON. Boom, enter. I don't know if it's visible. I can zoom it a little bit. Yeah, so as we can see, it actually called it. So that's great. So this is
Nice
how
job.
we can actually leverage.
We just made an API.
Sorry, can you repeat?
We just made an API.
Right? Boom, mind blowing. Don't say such things. People will like fall from their chairs.
I know. It took
Wait.
so much work to create this API, and so many years of studying and just grinding
wow.
to make that API. It's so hard.
Don't say such things. I'm going to leave my university. I'm going to drop out of university. No. Okay, well...
Don't do that. Don't do that.
No, of course, no. We're just messing around.
There's way more valuable stuff at university than the coursework.
All the parties, for example, they are great.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Although now they are kind of on hold, right?
Nah,
well, LAN parties.
That's where like you get exposed to the world, you know, this diverse people and backgrounds and all these things. Like,
yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to get exposure to that type of thing.
Especially nowadays, coronavirus pandemic.
I know that helps. That doesn't help.
Doesn't help at all. Yeah. If somebody is going to watch it later, like in a few years, I wonder how it's going to like age. If this coronavirus stuff is going to age well, like the talking about it, or is it going to be present for all the time? But maybe let's not go into this tangent.
Hopefully, just be able to casually joke about some things. I mean, there's too many people that have been impacted for us to really brush it aside. But yeah. I'd love for it to be more in our past than in our future.
2021, we believe. Okay. Next unit, executing an Azure function. I'm just dragging our attention back to the module.
Yeah, now we're back to the thing you were saying you might be able to use for your side project, right?
Yeah. Because what we do right now, we actually have some files gathered on our, let's call it on-prem server, but it's actually a server which is placed in my friend's house and which is exposed outside. And what we do is actually we run a cron job which is a script, a bash script that actually sends some data to Azure Blob Storage with the usage of SAS token. If somebody knows what I'm talking about, you are too advanced to be here. No, I'm joking, but okay. Now there's an SAS token. We basically send some data over there, and that's it, and it just stays there. But maybe what we could do is actually use Azure Function to do something more with this information, I imagine. Let's see. What is Azure Storage? So we even get some nice intro. If somebody is new to this terminology, maybe to put it in our words, do you want to explain what Azure Storage is so we don't read it?
Me? Sure. Well, Azure Storage is kind of a collection of things. There's a lot to it. As it shows there, well, that's just kind of showing some of the, I guess, properties of Azure Storage. But you've got blob storage, you've got table storage. What's the other ones? I should pull it up so I can just instead
Q,
of
right?
Q. Yeah. But point is, like, it's a collection of different types of storage that you might need, and blob storage is kind of like, most commonly used for just as like a catch-all. Like, like it's good for media, it's good for text, it's good for it's kind of like your OneDrive or your Google Drive. Like, it can just be anything, but you have to have the right authorization to put stuff into it, read out of it. That's where you're talking about the SAS. It's cloud storage, and it can be used in lots of different ways.
Yeah, it's a very, I think, broad topic, and if we would like to cover it entirely, we would probably sit it for a few more hours, definitely.
Oh yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
Huge service.
And some of them are simple, some are more complex. I tend to like rely on table storage for a lot of things, where if I already know there's like a structure to something I'm building, almost like a database, but I don't want a database yet, I'll use a table storage. But in other cases, if I'm just trying to collect like a bunch of JSON files or a bunch of image files, or any just random files, I put those into Blob and create folders within Blob. Like you would your desktop, or not your desktop, like your desktop machine. You got your documents folder, you got your pictures folder, you got all that kind of stuff. So kind of treat it that way.
Yeah, on my end, I'm also a huge Blob user. Most of those services, yeah. Oh, and even they say what is Azure Blob Storage specifically. I think that's what you kind of covered, so we can go through. But what is blob trigger? A blob trigger is a trigger that executes a function when a file is uploaded or updated in a blob storage. Okay, so it's kind of written for us already, which is nice. And all we have to do to create such blob trigger, so a trigger which will work or get triggered when something lands in our blob storage, is just configure the path, right? You just configure the path, and you actually get some interface to actually configure maybe file types, which it is supposed to catch. So for example, what I imagine the difference between these two is that you can either, for example, make it trigger on every file that lands there, or only on the PNG files, right? Let me read. But yeah, so basically it's kind of like regex. Well, not syntax wise, but idea wise maybe. So you have some parameter there and it matches the string. The last significant piece of information with this concept is text name. The name represents a parameter in your Azure function. Wow, so you actually can use this as a parameter later in the code. So just as we have had we have passed here a parameter via the URL. Here you can pass this parameter in the name of the file. Okay. So let's create the blob trigger. We still have 3 hours and 37 minutes of our sandbox. I think we are going to make it in time.
Gotta hustle.
Yeah. Well, as the last time, I'm going to use this function app that we have already, right? So they want us to create another function, and they want us to pick the blob storage trigger this time. Whoa, there's message saying extensions not installed. Whoa, okay. So there might be some obstacles happening. New function field set to default value, path to default value, storage account connection, drop down. Okay, so you want to create new storage account connection. Okay, well, basically I love to just see it in practice. So we want blob storage trigger, and let's see what it asks us for. Name is beautiful, let's leave it. Path, they want us to leave as default. So we are doing this, and there is this storage account connection. What if I drag on the info? The name of the app setting containing your storage account connection string. Okay, I think we'll leave it default as well, right?
I believe if you see, yeah, did you click on new? Click the new link underneath it.
Oh, I didn't actually.
The stuff you have highlighted.
Oh,
like that's the, yeah, and then so yeah, that right there, I think that creates it. So then when you go into,
okay, so basically it creates storage account connection to the storage. I mean, it creates a connection for our storage account that we already have underneath, or is it a new one?
We're creating a connection, but we still have to create the blob.
Okay. But this storage account that we are connecting it to, it already exists, I believe then, right? If I were, for example, to, let's say...
I think it's being created for us right here.
Right somehow. Here, okay. Okay, well, let's just go with the flow then, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure, but I think so. So,
we will see in a second. Oh, they want us to create a blob container, but this has to be inside
the storage account that was just created.
Oh yeah, so it just got initiated. That's what I was kind of thinking about, if this storage account already exists or not. But I guess it just has been created then. Okay, so we created blob trigger, and we want to actually go to this blob. We duplicated tabs. In Azure portal, select all resources, storage accounts. We will go right there. So I have duplicated these sites, and let's just go to home, and oh, here we have it. Okay, it even actually highlighted this. So here we have this storage account. We don't want to use the Cloud Shell probably because, well, as the name suggests, it's not for that purpose. I wonder if there's any creation date. Oh, it looks like it's been just created, right? Yeah. Okay, well, they want us to go to Storage Explorer, which is such a difficult word for me. I don't know why. Yeah, by the way, I know Storage Explorer from the perspective of a desktop tool, actually. I have used it as a download application, not in Portal. I think this is why
it
it's
works pretty good here.
There's already some stuff here, but I think they wanted us to create the storage diff one. Yeah, so we want to create this container, this one, so that it matches our path that we have in our trigger function.
Right, samples dash work items.
Okay, so I'm just going to create this blob. Do they want us to leave it private?
Needs to be set to public, which is...
No, they want us to...
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they want us to set the public access level as private.
Yep. And then anything in advanced? I don't think so.
I think no, right? Encryption scope. Who cares about encryption? What's the worst that could happen?
Just testing.
Okay, well, it says it is successful. Why do I not see it then? Refresh. Okay, we have our samples work items. So let's go under this. Of course, it's empty because we just created it. Duh, so yeah, it has to be empty. Turn on your blob trigger. Okay, so now we are switching back to the previous tab with our Azure Function, and we are going to code plus test. So we are prepping for...
You're gonna turn on the
final
function,
countdown.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Code and test, and then run.
I'm also opening the logs just as a nice habit to have. Bless you! Twice.
Ooh, excuse me. Thank you.
Sneezing in coronavirus pandemic is not a good sign, man.
I think I'm okay. I'm the only one down here.
Okay. Open the logs tab at the bottom of the screen. That's what we have done. And they want us to create something. Storage blob container, and they want us to upload something and see if it's going to get triggered. So I'm just going to write cute cat. That's always a nice thing to download and then upload to your blob storage.
Yeah. Everybody loves cute cats. Where's my cute cat? She's back here
I'm
sitting
going to
behind me.
save it as download.jpg. I'm actually amazed how many images I have on my desktop. Like from what I've just seen in a sec, or right here in a desktop. Like I have a lot. Horror throws and stuff. Oh yeah, this is from the OBS because I was using some images in the OBS to configure it. But we just downloaded a file called download. Download, where is my download? Maybe I will sort it by name. Sorry for the mess. Here it is, download JPEG. So let's do this and let's click upload, and I'm switching here to check if it's... Oh, I think I didn't run it, right?
You didn't?
Oops.
Oh yeah.
I didn't. I was supposed to run it first. No. Okay. Oh no, it did catch it. Did it? Yeah, it did. Oh, so I didn't have to even. I thought maybe I have to activate it somehow, but right, it doesn't make sense because this is the whole point. It's run automatically without our interference by the trigger that we have set, which I imagine we can run here manually, but I don't know how it works. What if I click run here? What is being like triggered? Am I kind of like mimicking that something has been sent? Oh, the specified blob does not exist. Yeah, whoops. I just destroyed everything. That's because we don't have such file probably. What if I paste the thing that we just had here? Downloaded? Was it downloaded or download? Download. Okay, download.jpg. Let's just check real quick. I'm really curious what will happen. Probably nothing else, right? What if I run this? It's thinking and it's accepted. This function called via the host APIs. Okay, so it basically just logs out an information that blob trigger function process blob, that it found it. Okay, but what we wanted actually to check is if it's being triggered automatically, not manually by me, and it does, which is the whole point. That's great. Oh,
Yep.
oops,
All right.
Is this time for the quiz, as always?
Hard time now, yeah.
Boom. Last time I think we were 100% right, which we cannot
Were
say
we?
for the first one. And we are actually wrapping up, like we are going in a good pace because I just finished my coffee, I can see. Which is a perfect pace because I will go refill my cup later. Okay, so a quick summary. Yeah, that's what they really want us to remember. Is that function runs only if it's being told to.
Right.
We have
That's the whole
went through
point.
some common triggers. Also, the sandbox is being cleaned up as after the last time, so they are going to delete all of those resources. So don't think you are going to be clever if you are going to request this API that we have shown too many times. It's a free subscription anyways. Check your knowledge. A cron expression is a string that consists of 6 fields. The order of the 6 fields in Azure is... Looks correct. Suppose you needed a cron expression that meant every day. Okay, I would go with asterisk probably. Because if we want to go every day, we want it to match every day of the week. So we actually do not want to use slash, which is an interval, or comma or hyphen, which are destined to basically like choose a range or some specific ones. We just want to match any of them. Okay, second one. Suppose your Azure function has a blob trigger associated with it and you want it to execute only when PNG images are uploaded. So I guess this is the exact example as we have seen. Yeah, so it checks your knowledge if you remember that it was a dot and if it makes sense. So we again, I think we just want to make it match. So
Yep.
I'm leaving the last one for you because I'm doing all the job.
Okay. True or false, an Azure function can have multiple triggers associated with it. I think we were creating multiple triggers in our exercise, but technically you can only have... It's false. Technically you only have one.
Yeah, I do agree. Like we have created several functions, but all of them had only one trigger. And I even remember explicitly that they told us that the function can have multiple bindings, but they can have only one trigger, which I believe cannot be wrong then. Let's check it. Let's not hesitate. Congratulations. 600 HP. I think it's more than last time. Maybe I'm wrong, but let's get that achievement. You did it. Wow. Are there any questions in chat or anything? I think
let's
no.
check. I haven't been really watching now.
No, I see that you have pasted the link. Yeah. So
Yep.
I think that kind of wraps up our today knowledge search. What's going to be next time? So next time we are still in the topic of...
Next module?
Yeah, next module we are still in the topic of Azure Functions, but this time we are going to get a closer look on the bindings. Yeah, so something different than the triggers today.
Well, we'll kind of make the, it seems like another way to think about it is when instead of the function being just the endpoint, the API that we send something to, it's now a middleman. It's like the link, the chain link, the chain in the links, where it's the connector. It takes inputs and handles things and then has outputs. It's going to have two different bindings for an in and an out.
Makes sense. And we even, I think we did today in a pretty good pace. Like, wow. Yeah, I'm happy with the pace that we did it. Well, so next week the bindings. Looks like then that we have some durable functions. Yeah, I mean we are going to learn about those functions for a bit. We are going.
This one's a big one on XP too. It's a 1900.
Say again, sorry.
This this next one that we're getting into, chain Azure functions. If you look at the XP, it's 1900 XP.
By the way, how's my level? Oh, I have. Oh shoot, I have a lot, a lot to the 7th one. Yeah, because I think I leveled up last week, so.
Yeah, 6 is good.
Hey, but 1900 is a lot. This one was only.
That's gonna help.
But why does it not show that I have it? Oh, because I didn't refresh the page, probably. That's why. Right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah. That's it. Right. I'm going to switch to our camera screen because yeah, well, that's all for today. And as always, we are probably going to catch again next week then, right?
That's the plan. Same time, same place.
Yep. So as always, stay safe, especially nowadays, right?
Yep.
It's a popular phrase.
Take care of each other and keep coming back to join us as we prepare for the AZ-204 certification exam. So far, so good. It's going really fun. So, yep, we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.